You've got a rarity in front of you. It's not that I've started a company almost 16 years ago from nothing and then took it public 10 years ago and made it through public offering and all that. It's that I'm from New York City. And so there aren't many tech CEOs from New York City. During the dot-com days, we had this really cute thing we would say. They said our part of the world was Silicon Alley. Okay, so because we don't have a valley, so we have an alley. And we always were copying you guys. And there were a lot of us, and there was a lot of excitement back then. I remember I started my company in 1995. And by 1999, and so everything was picking up. And all these hundreds of companies got funded. And today, LivePerson is one of the few companies that's actually left in New York City. So we deserve some round of applause for that. I'm really here as an entrepreneur to speak about the journey of building a company, because I've been where everyone has been in this room. I've been alone in a room with an idea with no money. And now we have close to 500 employees and over about 135 million in revenue, do about 33 million in cash flow. We have about 8,500 customers using our products. So I've taken the full journey. And what I want to do is take some of the time to talk to you about that journey and then also answer any questions you have, since I know that all of you are facing the task of being entrepreneurs. But first, to talk a little about the company. So LivePerson, we pioneered the use of chat for customer support and sales on a website. We started as a SaaS. Turns out we're actually a cloud company. Didn't know it. We'll probably be something else next week as the world gets redefined. But we sort of pioneered the use of software as a SaaS model, as a hosted model. The interesting part is 5 years ago, we kind of realized that for our customers, they said chat's really great for customer support, but can we use this to actually drive incremental conversions on our website? So we actually went ahead and built a behavioral targeting engine, and we married it with chat. We have a piece of code on every page of the website. So what we actually do is we track you as a consumer, and we look at your buying behavior. And what we found is as consumers go from page to page to page, they can start to exhibit the patterns of a buyer. But right when they're about to do something that doesn't look like they're going to the shopping cart, that's when our technology invites, and we call it proactive chat, will invite someone to chat. And we say, hey, do you need help? Why is that important to you as developers? Because we have relationships, very deep relationships, with 8,500 customers and 400 of the largest websites in the world, and we have code on every page. And we're actually looking at the consumers and what they're doing, and we're connecting with those consumers. So why that's important from a developer is if you've got an idea on how you've got a technology to convert more customers by using something else, a mobile device or videos, we have a way to deliver that in real time on a website. As I said, we got 8,500 customers around the world. We have most of the major telcos, most of the major banks, most of the major hardware software companies, and then we've got a whole host of e-commerce companies. We have this great technology, and we have one app. It's chat. And we have this great way to get intelligence and data off of a website, which drives the chat app. But we said, let's do something different. Let's re-engineer everything and make a platform in which other people, like yourselves, can develop applications on top of it like we did for chat. And we've got about 16 different partners who have already built applications on it. And the interesting thing is these applications just went out at the beginning of this year, and we already had 14 sales right off the bat of just these partners getting purchased by our customers because they have apps that our customers want. The more important part is we have a salesperson who's out there selling these apps. So you don't have to worry about sales and marketing. You have us to do that. Just come up with a great idea, and we'll deliver it to our customers. I'm switching to the entrepreneurial part now. I graduated college in 1991, and I had an idea for building my first company. This actually is my second company. And so my first company, I was going to build interactive kiosks for college campuses, like touchscreen type things. And I came out of college, and I thought, colleges need kiosks. I got 10 credit cards at the time, perfect way to fund, good venture capital. I went into the world. I had all that energy. I built it up. I hired 4 or 5 people. We signed up a bunch of schools. I went for it. We signed up advertisers on this. This is way before the internet. So did all of that. And then 1995 comes around, and I lose everything. everything. Now, I've always tried to understand why I lost everything. Was it the bad product idea? Was it that I hired bad people? Was it I wasn't lucky? Was it all the reverse of what you all said? I didn't take the risk. And I tried to understand that. And what happened to me was a very strange moment in my life. I ended up, at that time when I started my first company, it was in Baltimore, I ended up saying, well, when it all ended, I'm going to move to New York, because I felt like if I'm going to do something, New York is a better place to do it than Baltimore. And I moved up with this couch. And I moved into 500 square feet of office space in New York City with that couch. And that couch became my bed. I can't believe you're laughing at that. It's a very heartening moment. And this couch ultimately was a place I spent 2 years of my life. Now, my office didn't have a shower. Okay, so I got a health club membership down the block on Reed Street, and I went and would shower at the health club, and I spent 2 years of my life on that couch. Has anyone here slept on a couch before? Good. We've got good entrepreneurs here. I mean, did you sleep on it for 2 years and not because you were drunk at a friend's apartment? But this experience for me at the couch was, one, a very scary experience. I was 27 years old, and now I'd lost all my money. The credit cards were taken from me. I had nothing. I had about $2,000 in my bank account, and now I had to start life over. But it gave me my greatest lessons, and I wanted to sort of share those lessons with you. The interesting part is when we went public, the auditors went through all the financials and looked at the first 2 years and saw that I took out $10,000 a year for the first 2 years. And so they asked, like, you must have been taking cash on the side, or where was the money? Because you can't live in New York City paying rent, eating, having fun, and doing all that on about $800 or $1,000 a month. But that's what I had to do to continue on and to be here today. So I want to share a couple of those lessons. In 2001, I remember my CFO came to me, and now we had 180 employees. We had $20 million in the bank. We were losing $2 million a month in cash. So if anyone can add that up, we'd be bankrupt in 10 months, except we were a public company. And if we got down to about $4 or $5 million, they would delist us from the stock exchange. So my CFO came into my office, and he handed me a spreadsheet, and he showed me this. And I remember thinking, looking at that and seeing, he said, we're going to go bankrupt. Those were his words to me. We are going to go bankrupt. And I remember thinking, that very moment, going back and sleeping on the couch. And I said to myself, I'm never going back to the couch again. And I will do what I need to do now to make the hard changes. And a lot of times, if you look during that time period of the dot-com era, a lot of CEOs never had the experience of losing their first companies. So what happened is they ignored, like I did with my first company, I ignored reality. And so what being on the couch taught me was that when you see you need to make change, you must make the change. Okay, so that was my first lesson. And the scarier the change, the bigger the risk, the more you'll have to give up, the more you have a chance of success. And I learned that by being on the couch. So that was the first thing. The other part is 90% of people in here, and I know this is going to sound negative, may not make it. The statistic right now is 90% of startups fail. Okay? So when you think about that, why is that? Because a lot of times when people get to a couch moment, they quit. And I remember thinking, I don't want to be known in life as a loser. I don't want to be known as the guy who lost his first company and now I'm going to go get a job. And I'd be known as the guy, well, that was cute what you did, but you lost it. Okay? So for me, failure and the idea of failure wasn't really the important thing. It was that I didn't want to be known for that. So for yourselves, when you hit that wall, and I believe there's a natural wall that happens to all entrepreneurs, and that wall is meant to be there so not everyone can make it. A lot of people don't go into it with their heart. So they only hit the first wall and they go, I'm not making enough money, I'm going to quit. When you hit the wall, you got to keep going. The next lesson was about purpose. It was interesting. I remember my first night on the couch. I feel like I'm in a therapy session. So, but I remember my first night on the couch, and I had a pillow. I went to Kmart, got a pillow and a comforter, and I was alone. And I remember thinking about, I had lost this product, this kiosk concept. And I started to think about things over the next couple of weeks from that night forward about what's my greater purpose in life. And I know this sounds really touchy-feely, but I've never gotten connected to a product. A product is not an important thing for an entrepreneur's life. It's the thing that will allow you to follow your purpose in life. And I would ask is that when you go home, and if you can write down, my purpose in life is to do X, Y, and Z, that's something greater that no one can take from you, and you'll never give up, even if you're on a couch. But if you're connected to a product like, I'm the chat guy, I only want to do chat, and if chat's successful, I'm successful, that really can set you up for failure. So find your purpose. My purpose now is really about, I think, inspiring entrepreneurs to build and continue to go and find their purpose. What is the thing that you're willing to give up? What is the dream or purpose that you're willing to achieve in order to fulfill your dreams? Because everyone who's in this room, you'll be faced with, if I could only do X, Y, and Z, or if I only gave up something, I would be able to fulfill my dreams. And that's what I would say, what is your couch? My couch was an actual couch. But if you ask yourself, what is your couch? That's an important part of the lesson today. So when you think about fulfilling your big purpose, and that's what the couch talk is about, what I wanted to give you is now 5 tips about being entrepreneurs in the tech world and things that I learned along the way. First rule is don't take venture capital if you don't have to. My first company, I took friends and family money, and it really hindered me from, I think, changing and making the changes necessary. Figure out your business model first, then invite a venture capital to be a part of your company because they're going to breathe down your neck. Second part is never get attached to the first idea. If you look at most companies, whether it's Apple or Google or even LivePerson, the first product is a way as an entrepreneur to just enter your toe into the water of running a company. But it's usually not the final winning product. When it comes to evaluating people, I've always had this test called skill and will, which is I always look at people and I say, do they have the skill and the will to be here? And a lot of times we find people have skill, but they don't have the will and the drive. And what we've always found is that people who have will have a greater chance to help you succeed. Core values, something I never believed in. We just created our core values last year, and we have 2, be an owner and help others. It's really important to lay your core values down. Even if you're alone in a room, write out what you think the company stands for. Because when you hire the first new employee, and I remember this, when I got to hire my first professional employee after we got funded, I hired a head of sales. That's usually the first guy you hire. And I remember we were all in a shared office space, and he came in, he said, I need an office. I've got people I've got to manage, and I don't sit out in a shared office space. I need to have my own office. And okay, he got his own office, I got my own office, and it changed our culture. If we had something written down about our core values, it would be very hard for a new person to walk in and say, I'd like to do it my way. So if you can, write your core values out. And the last one is get leverage from companies like LivePerson. It's really interesting. In this day and age, applications can be written very quickly, but the distribution and selling of those applications is still very hard. So for you guys, if you can leverage companies like ours who have those relationships, who have those salespeople, you're just focusing on the apps, we'll focus on the connection with the customer, you can definitely have a better and easier way to be successful. So those are the lessons I just wanted to share with you guys. I'm really excited about being here. This is our first foray into the Silicon Valley and showing everybody what we're doing. We're going to get very aggressive out here in promoting the platform and helping partners be successful. Like I said, we already have 16 that are up and running. So we're really here to embrace you guys and get your feedback and help you be successful too as entrepreneurs. So thank you very much.